Jack Hughes. We talk a lot about lose for Hughes, and I looked through the standings and I thought about teams that maybe are going to end up back in the conversation that are currently in a playoff spot, and I said, okay, let's take a look at this. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible because this is going to change during the year, right? Anaheim's top two centers are Getzlaf and Kessler. What stands out there? They're older. But in Anaheim's favor, Lundestrom and Terry are both considered blue chip prospects. Blue chip prospects by, I'm going to go ahead and grab this, by Hockey News. So I went with the Hockey News and I said, all right, I'm going to look at their blue chips. I'm going to look at their depth chart for organizations. They give the Anaheim Ducks a B- at forward, B+ in defense, and a B or a B in goal. But for me, the aging stars is the storyline there. So the Ducks could definitely use a Jack Hughes down the middle. The thing is, of course, Jack Hughes could be a winger. He could be a center. I'm saying center because whoever drafts him is really going to want him to play center. really going to want him to play center. Sort of along the same line as in Carolina, Sebastian Aho has become a center for them. And he's doing well, and his face-off percentages have been coming up. I have to say, too, face-off percentages, the most overrated stat in the NHL, easily. And I know people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but when I look at team face-off percentages, it has no determination in who the better teams are. So Aho has pushed Stahl down to number 2 center. Stahl should be a number 2 center, should not be a number 1. They don't have a blue chipper down the middle. Forward, they gave them a C+. On defense, an A-. Goaltending, a C-. And I'm saying he might be the missing piece. If Carolina misses the playoffs, wins the draft lottery, first off, Brian Burke will lose his mind if they win another draft lottery. And second, he might very well be exactly that last piece that Carolina needs. They're getting a lot of shots. They're not getting a ton of goals. Their shooting percentage isn't great. You add Hughes. You've got Svechnikov as well. Carolina could not only be a playoff team coming out of that, they could be a contender coming out of that if they can get the right goaltender in there. Chicago. Chicago right now may very well be trending up. I still think by the end of the year they're out of the playoffs. Their top 2 centers are Taves and Schmaltz. What stands out there? Taves probably a little past his prime. He's had a very good start to the season. We'll see if he can continue that, but I definitely think they could use somebody to take his spot. The problem is Schmaltz has not been fantastic this year. In the minors, they've got Sakura. Sakura's a blue chipper, seen as a top 9 forward potentially, but is he going to be a star? Probably not. At forward, they gave Chicago a C+, defense a B-, and in goal a C, largely because Crawford at the time it was written was on the injured reserve. And for me, the aging core is the thing with Chicago. Any team that's been... Look at the Stanley Cup champions that are currently on the board. That aging core is a problem. You need a guy like Hughes. You need a superstar player to start that turnaround. Unless you're Edmonton. Edmonton's not on the board because they're not. They're not a team that needs Hughes. They're just not. So the aging core is the reason that for me I think Chicago could very well use a Jack Hughes if they miss the playoffs this year. Detroit. Detroit's top 2 centers are Larkin and Nielsen. And again, I got these from Roster Resource, or no, Roto World. I went with Roto World because Roster Resource is doing an update, and you can't get depth charts from them right now. It's weird. Veleno is a blue chipper, but Veleno a late first rounder. Is he going to end up being a superstar center? Probably not. Their forward depth is given a C. Their defense a C-, and their goaltending is a C. Detroit Red Wing fans can gnash on that. And when I talk about depth, these aren't depth of prospects. These are depth of the players that are currently on the roster. Detroit still needs a superstar. I know Larkin is a guy that Detroit fans like very much, and I agree with them. However, if you added Hughes to that forward group, that would be kind of fantastic. And it would make a huge difference to Detroit. Florida, here's where it gets interesting. Florida, if they miss the playoffs again and manage to somehow win the draft lottery, it'd be odd because they've got Barkov and Trocheck down the middle. They got Borgstrom and Heponiemi as blue chip prospects. They don't really need a center. Their forward group is a B. Their defense is C+. Their goaltending is a C. And like I said, they don't really need a center. So because they don't really need a center, let's say that Florida won it. I think Hughes would be a winger. And I think that would be a fantastic way to bring him into the NHL. He may very well be a winger when he hits the NHL and transition to center, much like Aho. There were talking during the one of the Carolina games I was watching the other day about whether or not Aho stays at center or whether or not they move him back to wing if they pick somebody else up. I think he stays at center. It's very rare that you'll see a guy move to center and they get moved back to the wing unless he's really struggling, and Sebastian Aho is not struggling. So for me, Florida, if they got him, it would be an embarrassment of riches up front. I think what it would do is it would free them up to trade one of their forwards to get some more help on the blue line or potentially in goal. It would be very interesting, but I can't say that they're a team that desperately needs him. The LA Kings desperately need pretty darn near everything right now. Their top two centers are Kopitar and Carter. They're if you look for blue chip prospects down the middle, Kupari and Velarde are considered blue chips. Velarde would be with them right now if not for a back issue, and it has to be very frustrating for him at this stage. And I would imagine it's very frustrating for the Kings as well. Their forward depth is given a B, their defense is given a C plus, and their goaltending a B. But I think they need a new superstar. I think that LA is very star driven. You look at the LA Lakers. They pick up LeBron. Everybody goes nuts for the Lakers. The problem is, even in basketball, you need to surround them with somebody. But it would be a very nice marketing thing for LA if they managed to pick up Hughes. Look, Hughes is American. He is considered to be the next. Patrick Kane is the one I see him get compared to a lot. Now, Kane's a winger. So maybe Hughes ends up on the wing, but the idea is that they're going to try to convert him to center because in the NHL there's a tremendous amount of importance put on your centers. And for good reason. Because when you look at teams that win the Stanley Cup, they'll usually have an impressive 1 through 4 at center. So the Kings could definitely use Jack Hughes. The New Jersey Devils' top two centers, Hischier and Zajac. I don't know that I like that top two center spot. I think if you add Hughes and you push Hischier down to number 2, or just they alternate who's 1 or 1A and 1B, they have McLeod as a blue chipper, but McLeod hasn't come up yet. And at some point he'll go from blue chip prospect to suspect if he has another full season outside the NHL. Forward depth a B minus, defense a C, and goaltending is a B minus. And I think they could really use an elite center, which he projects to be at the NHL level. And let me also point out as well that this is just about Hughes, but Kakko also out of Finland, he is projecting to be a guy who could move to center and maybe will be more physically ready for the grind at the NHL level than even Hughes next year. But this is all about Hughes. It's the Hughes draft right now. This could change during the season, but probably not. Pittsburgh. And who thought Pittsburgh was going to end up on the board? I didn't. But their top two centers, Malkin and Crosby. There are no blue chip centers coming up. Their forward depth is a B+, their defense is a B-, their goaltending a B-. I think if that chart was taken now, I think that goaltending would be a little lower ranking. Crosby and Malkin are not getting any younger. And you need somebody who can take that mantle when they're gone. And I understand that both Crosby and Malkin are still guys who are scoring more than a point a game. They're still two of the best forwards in the game. But you can never tell when that fall is going to start. And for them, it could be next year. It could be the year after. But if you added Hughes to this lineup, just deadly. You can have Hughes on the wing, playing with either of them for the first 2 or 3 seasons and transition him to one of the top 2 center spots after learning from Crosby and Malkin. I can't think of a situation that would be better for Hughes or more enraging to your casual hockey fan. Now, St. Louis. St. Louis down the middle, they've got Shen and O'Reilly. O'Reilly's been excellent lately. Shen's had injury problems at points this year. Not as good this year as last year, but last year was a career year for him. They don't have a blue chipper down the middle in their prospect system. Forward depth is a B+, their defense is a B, and their goaltending is a C, because Allen is inconsistent, and they expect more at some point out of him, but we can't bank on that. The unexpected downturn means that they are in the conversation for Jack Hughes this year. They had been expected to be a lot better than this. Chemistry means a lot, and I need to do a video at some point on things that we don't consider about free agents and trades when they get made. And chemistry is huge. And there seems to be a lack of that at times with St. Louis. And it has led to them being in this conversation. On the Vancouver side of things, Vancouver, who are 10-10-2 currently, have had a brutal schedule. They've lost 5 in a row. Pettersson and Horvat are their top 2. So it would seem that with Pettersson and Horvat, they don't need another center. They have Quinn Hughes waiting in the wings. He's going to come up probably next year. Could be excellent for them. Could help solve some problems this team has. Gaudette's listed as a blue chipper down the middle. I don't know how much... I don't know. Gaudette's an interesting one for me. Is he going to be a top 2 center in the NHL? Is he going to be a third liner? I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough from him right now at the NHL level to say. Their forward depth is given a B-. Their defense is given a C+, and their goaltending a C. And I think, and I put up here, they could use another star in that top 6. They could use a star winger who can then either transition to center. And honestly, if Hughes and Pettersson were playing together, and you could just alternate who was down the middle, depending on the situation. Yeah. And the idea of having the Hughes brothers playing together makes it a very tempting thing for me as a Canuck fan. But I have to say, since the start of the season, I no longer view the Canucks as being the ideal landing spot for Jack Hughes. Would I love it if they won a draft lottery? Yes. Are they going to? I'm not betting anything on that. So for me, Vancouver's not at the top, but they're close. Vegas have been expected to be better than this season. Their top 2 centers, Karlsson and Stastny. Stastny's been injured for all the games they've played except 3. He was scoreless in those 3. And Karlsson is a number 1 center. Last year, yes. This year, I think he might be better off as a second-line center. Forward depth is given a B+. That might change if they did the grading now. Defense a B-. Goaltending a B+. Again, the goaltending might get a different grade if it was done right now rather than a couple months ago. And I think they need a young star for the face of the franchise. Vegas has had a tough season. And it is clear that the Vegas Golden Knights fans are very into every player on the team, and they keep track of everything. And they really need that big superstar. And Pacioretty coming in looked like he should be a 30-goal scorer. He should be a big part of the solution to any kind of goal-scoring problems that were going to happen. That hasn't happened for them. I do look at Cody Glass, who is listed as a blue chipper, and say as soon as next season, Glass should be part of the solution. And I try not to say anything bad about George McPhee because I think he did a fantastic job last year, but I'm still bewildered as to why Glass didn't at least get a 9-game spot this year for Vegas. That being said, I don't put Cody Glass in a Jack Hughes territory, and I think Vegas could absolutely use him. So if we're looking at spots where I think you could really, really use a Jack Hughes level player, who again may start out on the wing at the NHL level and may play center. Detroit gets on that board, absolutely. LA, yes. New Jersey, probably, based on their early play. And I'd have Vegas. That would be my top 4. And if I had to go 5, and I want to go 5, I'll go with Anaheim. So I'd go with Anaheim, Detroit, LA, New Jersey, and Vegas. And out of those 5, any of them could absolutely use a Jack Hughes down the middle, a star player. I think the team most in need right now is probably LA, but overall, I think Vegas. It is an expansion team in Vegas. I know it didn't have the appearance of that last year, and they went on that great run to the Stanley Cup final. But if you're looking at the long-term success of the team, they need that face of the franchise, and I think Hughes would be a great fit for Vegas. American player, superstar, and LA right up there too. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Where would be the best fit if the draft was today? Which team do you think would most need that number 1 draft pick? And again, it could be a team that's not on the board. I tried to put as many teams on the board as I could, and it got more and more crowded. As I went along, I was like, all right, this is going to... Oh, wait, no, I forgot. Okay, I got to crowd this up. So there you go. That's why it's all crowded at the end, because there's a lot of teams that could use them. But let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.